Hello, I'm Lauren O'Hayan from Restore Your Core, and I want to talk to you today about your postpartum pelvic floor. So, if you've had a baby recently, congratulations. I know there is a lot of confusion about what is happening in the pelvic floor. How soon should I work out? Should I be doing kegels? So, let's just talk a little bit about that. The common recommendation is to work out somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks, longer if you've had a cesarean birth. I always tell people to go even a little bit longer than that, no matter the kind of birth you had. So I really am comfortable more in the 8 to 10 week place because you have a large wound in your uterus, so to speak. Your body is healing. Your body has this very natural way of healing itself. And if we start in too fast, too soon, it could just be that the tissues are not quite ready to receive that. And I see a lot of people who came back too fast, too soon and wish they had waited a little bit longer. That being said, I definitely don't think it's a time of like, don't do anything and just lie in bed and rest. If you've just had a baby and maybe you have more kids at home, I had 3 in 4 years. It's very active. You are constantly moving for a lot of the time, right? You are bending over, you are picking up your baby, you are taking them on walks, you are feeding them, you are taking yourself to places. So you are moving. I am just not a fan of a very targeted pelvic floor, core, any sort of a workout regimen so fast. Natural movements, sure. Sprinkling in a little bit of forward bending, sure. A little bit of side bending, of course. But an entire workout is not appropriate. If you are starting to feel symptoms in your pelvic floor that concern you, maybe you feel heaviness, maybe you feel pressure, maybe you feel incontinence, maybe you feel like you have a prolapse, one of your organs is lower down, you're feeling like there's always like a tampon inside your vagina, any number of kind of pelvic floor symptoms. It's really early if like 4 or 5 months haven't passed. So if you're past the 4 or 5 month mark, you are actually still healing for like the next, it takes like a year, up to a year for the body to really heal. So I always tell people, like, if you're in the first 3, 4 months and you feel symptoms, I wouldn't assume that you have an injury. I would assume that your body just went through this incredible journey and it's now healing and it might be feeling different, but I wouldn't assume that you are injured. It's a great idea if, let's say, 6 months has passed and you are still feeling discomfort, then to see an occupational or a pelvic floor physical therapist if you feel like you need someone to do an internal exam and see what's going on. If you did have a vaginal delivery, it could be that there's scar tissue. You may know that you have scar tissue, or you may not know that you have scar tissue. But if you do have scar tissue because you know it, or either way, it's a good idea to work on scar tissue. So if you had a cesarean delivery or a vaginal with any sort of tearing, either like natural or not, you want to be doing scar tissue release 100%. And how soon you do that really depends on asking your medical provider, how soon can I start to do that? And scar tissue release, I have a bunch of videos on that on my YouTube as well. You can find those, but it is so important to regaining function in the muscles of the core and pelvic floor. And you can do this 10 years postpartum. Like, you don't, if you're like, I had a baby 10 years ago, that's okay. But the sooner, the better. And you have to be consistent with it. And it can really disrupt pelvic floor and core function. So just kind of know that. As for what is the best form of pelvic floor exercise postpartum? Your body, your pelvic floor doesn't live in a silo. It doesn't just live in this part of the house all by itself and you come in and you need to like do something to this part of the house and make it strong. Your pelvic floor is reacting and responsive to what your feet are doing as you walk, to how your hips are rotating as you walk, to whether your glutes are engaging or not, to your postural patterns, right? Whatever those postural patterns are, hunching over has an effect on your pelvic floor. Overarching your back like this, like an anterior pelvic tilt, will have an effect on your pelvic floor. So your pelvic floor is taking the receiver of many different loads in the body. So if you try to like just pick out your pelvic floor and do exercises specific to it, you will probably fall very short. You won't actually get to the root. So what we do in Restore Your Core is we actually try to create a responsive pelvic floor system that is working with the rest of the pelvic floor system. The abdominals are your pelvic floor system. They are connected to your pelvic floor. The muscles are connected to your pelvic floor. The function is connected to your pelvic floor. The organs of your abdominals lead into the organs of your pelvic floor. They are all one system and one unit. So we are looking to work on the abdominals. We are looking to work on the breathing. We are looking to work on posture. It sounds like a lot, but you can actually get it all done in one class situation. I strongly recommend that you stop thinking of your pelvic floor as this area that you just need to squeeze and tighten, because it is not that. Your pelvic floor will squeeze and tighten all day long if you are moving in functional movement patterns with good core integrity. So when there's balance in the whole system, your pelvic floor is doing what it needs to be doing, and you don't need to get on in there and start tightening it and squeezing it. The way you breathe will do like all the tightening and squeezing and releasing that your pelvic floor needs. So I want to show you some exercises that you can start right away postpartum. When I say right away, again, honoring the first like 8 to 10 weeks where you're just doing like your own natural movements. And then after that, you can start integrating these movements. If you want a much more comprehensive approach, you would look into my Restore Your Core 12-week program, which is like an entire approach that includes breath training and core training and looking at posture and mobility. But here I'm going to give you a sample of exercises you can start right away at that 8-week mark to really get your pelvic floor responding. So the first thing I want you to do is a basic move. You've probably done it a ton, but we're going to kind of jazz it up a bit. So you're going to come to your hands and knees, and you're going to slide your hands forwards a bit, reach your butt back a bit, and kind of slide into this puppy position. Reach into this puppy position. You're not collapsed down. You're not falling down in your body. You're actually lifted gently through your ribs, but your sitting bones, your pelvic floor, like it's all kind of open and not closed. And then you're going to exhale to round into cat pose and curl, 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 really curl in. Your core lifts and draws in and up. It doesn't push out. And you're going to exhale and slide back into that puppy. And just do that a few times. Inhale into that puppy, and then you exhale into this cat, curling in. Inhale into this reaching, tractioning puppy, sitting bones untuck. So keep moving. I just want to explain your sitting bones are doing this tucking and untucking, which is super valuable, very high value for your pelvic floor and your core. You're exhaling and inhaling and encouraging your abdominals to kind of tighten and engage on the exhale and release on the inhale. That's going to give you really good abdominal contracting, strengthening. It's going to facilitate pelvic floor strength as well. Good. And then go ahead and just come to your hands and knees. You are baby feeding no matter your method. So let's get your upper body. If your upper body is tight, so right arm reaches up, hips move to the right, and then lower that down. If your upper body is tight, it's going to really impact your ability for your core and pelvic floor to regain strength. So we really want to do exercises that open the upper body. So what you're doing here, I'm going to turn my back to you so you can see. You're pushing your hips gently to the right as you reach your right arm up and then lowering down. But I like to stay there for a moment or two and breathe. So I'm now going to move my hips to my left, and I'm going to reach my left arm up. And I'm going to breathe. I'm trying not to keep my chest curled in. So even as I'm here, I'm thinking of opening up my chest just a little bit. And just a few more of those on each side. You can, of course, pause the video and do much more of each of these exercises. It's really just a demo of what you're going to be doing. Okay, so then come on up and grab a block. And you're going to take this block between your knees. Okay? And step your feet out as wide as needed so the block is in your knees. And then your knees are kind of, at first, maybe kind of, you're not sure if they're bent or straight. Don't worry about it. And all you're going to do is stay at the top, inhale, exhale, long blowing out from your mouth, like you're blowing candles, and feel your core tightening as you blow, 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 blow. And then you're going to combine that with movement. So you're going to inhale, exhale, blow those candles, feel your core contracting, and hinge your hips forward. So here's what you're not doing. You're not rounding your back like a cat. You are hinging forward. You're also not collapsing through your body like this. So you're spreading here. Now squeeze your thighs in towards the block. Squeeze your inner thighs into the block, and then go ahead, release the squeeze. Come on up. So you're going to do 6 to 7 of those. Those are phenomenal for strengthening the entire inner thigh, pelvic floor, and core connection. You really want to make sure that before you do this hinging pattern that you've blown, blown, blow, 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 and feel your core connecting. And your last exercise is that you're going to sit on a chair with your legs wide-ish. So just as wide as you feel comfortable with. This is not gymnastics. You don't have to go too wide. And then you're going to take your right hand on your lower abdominals, left arm up. Inhale. Exhale, blow out your candles, and feel your abdominals pull in from the exhalation. The exhalation brings the abdominals in. When you have done that a few times and you can feel that connection, you exhale, you feel that, and you take a side bend. You can have your hand resting wherever you want. I always encourage people to rest their hand on their abdominals so they can feel what they are doing when they do what they do. If you are pushing your abdominals out and they bulge out, you're going to be pushing a lot of pressure onto your pelvic floor and core. You don't want that. So you want, on exhale, your abdominals to draw in, and you do 6 per side. But again, you don't move until you have felt the exhale, then the core engages, then you move. Okay, so those are the initial exercises that I want you to be working on postpartum to be training your core, your pelvic floor, getting this responsive reaction. What we don't want is, as you're moving around, picking up your baby, picking up things, moving a stroller, all of that, that you're bulging your core out. So those last 2 exercises specifically, you can even just do standing, right? Side bending, are to really train your core to do movements forward, side to side, that's life, as you don't bulge. What I don't want you doing is keeping your core pulled in and tight and rigid all day long and sucking it in. That is going to also put a lot of pressure on your pelvic floor. So your abdominal wall should be ready all day long, not tight, not pulled in, not sucked up. Okay, so remember those things. And I hope you have learned something today. Once again, if you want an entire workout program that will integrate all of these elements, just head over to my Restore Your Core 12-week program. Thanks for joining.